Available now. Link below.
In a nation where the rule of law and the democratic processes are cornerstones of our republic, a stunning move in Illinois sends shockwaves across the political landscape. Now, I'm here to bring a report that cuts through the noise, offering a piercing look into a decision that could alter the course of American politics forever. Imagine a single judge wielding the power to silence the voices of millions, to override the will of the people and potentially reshape the future of presidential elections. This is not about one man only. It's about the very essence of our republic and the principles that we hold dear. As we dive into this unfolding drama, remember what's at stake is nothing less than our integrity of our nation and the balance of power in America. So stay with us for a report that promises not just insights, but a call to action for every patriot. You don't want to miss the final thought on this critical issue. But before we dive deeper into today's groundbreaking report, a quick reminder from our friends at the Patriot Gold Group. In these turbulent times when political maneuvers shake the very foundations of our republic, it's more crucial than ever to secure your future. Just as our political landscape faces unprecedented challenges, your investment should not be left vulnerable. With the economy's roller coaster ride and the looming threat of inflation, isn't it time to safeguard your retirement with something as steadfast as gold? Patriot Gold Group offers a no-fee-for-life IRA for qualifying rollovers. Protect your hard-earned wealth. Call 888-857-9437 for a free investor guide. Remember, in these times of political and economic uncertainty, gold remains a beacon of stability. So call that number on the screen, 888-857-9437 today. Now, it's a move that's sending shockwaves through the political sphere. A Democrat state judge in Illinois has taken the unprecedented step of ordering former President Donald Trump to be removed from the presidential ballot. This decision, stemming from allegations of insurrection, represents not just an affront to the Trump campaign, but a disturbing sign of judicial overreach that threatens the very fabric of our electoral integrity. It's a development that raises serious questions about the balance of power and the role of the judiciary in our democratic processes. Judge Tracy R. Porter of the State Circuit Court in Cook County ruled that the State Board of Elections shall remove Donald J. Trump from the ballot for the general primary election on March 19, 2024, or cause any votes cast for him to be suppressed. Yes, that's the ruling, to suppress the votes. Now, this decision, while temporarily stayed, giving Trump until Friday to appeal, has already sparked a significant outcry. It's a scenario that underscores the tension between judicial authority and the electoral democracy. Take a look.
Now, less than 3 weeks away from the March primary election, a Cook County judge has ruled Donald Trump is disqualified from running in Illinois for violating Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Judge Tracy Porter then put her order on hold until Friday in anticipation of an immediate appeal by Trump's attorneys. Porter's ruling reverses last month's decision by the Illinois Board of Elections to keep Trump's name on the ballot after a group of Illinois voters accused the former president of engaging in insurrection leading to the January 6th Capitol riot. Tonight, I spoke with Fox 32 political analyst Stephen Caliendo about the impact on next month's primary.
What this ruling essentially says is Donald Trump himself is not fit for office, cannot serve office, and therefore could not be on the ballot in Illinois to run for office. But technically, when we vote in the primaries in Illinois, we're not voting for the presidential candidate. We're voting for electors who pledge to those candidates to go to the respective national conventions and cast their ballots.
Now, of course, today's ruling becomes moot if the U.S. Supreme Court rules against the state of Colorado, which decided to remove Trump from the ballot ahead of their primary this coming Tuesday.
Now, the ruling has been met with fierce criticism from the Trump campaign, which quickly denounced the decision as an unconstitutional act by an activist judge. Spokesperson for the campaign highlighted the political motivations behind the move, stating that the Soros-funded Democrat front groups continue to attempt to interfere in the election and deny President Trump his rightful place on the ballot. Now, this case is not just about one man's place on the ballot. It's a litmus test for the state of our political system and the principles of fairness and justice that are supposed to underpin it. This isn't an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of attempts to sideline Trump and his supporters by exploiting legal loopholes and stretching the interpretation of laws to their breaking point. The invocation of the 14th Amendment's ban on insurrectionists holding office is a contentious point, especially given that Trump has never been officially charged with insurrection. Now, this legal maneuvering has profound implications for our republic, suggesting that the judiciary can effectively veto the will of the electorate based on dubious grounds. The case is now reaching the U.S. Supreme Court, which has agreed to consider the issue of Trump's eligibility, adding another layer of drama to an already contentious election cycle. The Supreme Court's involvement underscores the gravity of the situation and the potential for this case to set a precedent for how former officials, especially those as polarizing as Trump, are treated by the legal system. Here's more.
Let me go to Garrett Haake right now on Capitol Hill. Garrett, what does this mean for the former president politically and as he faces these myriad of cases?
Well, Lester, I've asked the campaign for comment here, and I'm refreshing the former president's social media page because I expect he'll give it, and I expect that the campaign will view this as a huge win, really on two fronts. One, as Laura was just describing, the delay that this will cause. Donald Trump, on the legal and political front, have felt that the longer they can push out any of these trials on any of the charges he faces, the better it is for him legally and the better that is for him politically. Purely in a political sense, Donald Trump has made the idea that he is somehow a target of either the DOJ or Democratic prosecutors in blue states into a core message of his 2024 campaign. And so I think the idea here that he is seen as fighting back against Jack Smith, whom he has tried to turn into a villain on the right, and that he'll get an opportunity, his lawyers will get an opportunity to argue this case in front of a Supreme Court that has 3 justices he helped seat, will fit, at least in the near term, the political messaging that he has tried to put all around all of this. Obviously, if the court ultimately rules against him, that's another matter. But in the short term, and that's frankly largely how Donald Trump and his political team assess these things, kind of one crisis followed by the next. They try to knock them down as they come up in front of them. In the short term, it's not only a legal win to have this hearing and to delay the start of the trial, it's a rhetorical and a political win for the way that he likes to talk about all of the cases that are pending against him.
Now, at the heart of this legal battle is the fundamental question about the nature of presidential immunity and the extent to which former presidents can be held accountable for actions taken while in office. The Supreme Court's decision to hear arguments on this matter is a pivotal moment, one that has the potential to reshape the landscape of the American jurisprudence. It's a case that goes beyond Trump, touching on issues of executive power, accountability, and the separation of powers that are central to our constitutional structure. Trump's legal team has argued that presidential immunity should shield him from prosecution for acts that are within the outer perimeter of his official duties. This argument raises critical questions about the scope of executive power and the protections afforded to those who hold the nation's highest office. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications not just for Trump, but for the presidency itself. Now, the court's involvement has delayed the start of the election interference trial, introducing further uncertainty into an already tumultuous election season. This delay, while frustrating to those eager for a resolution, is indicative of the complex legal issues at play. It highlights the challenges of navigating the legal system in politically charged cases. Now, critics argue that blocking Trump from the ballot sets a dangerous precedent that could be misused by future administrations to marginalize political adversaries and manipulate the electoral process, potentially eroding public trust in democracy and undermining the principles of our democratic accountability. Now, this concern is echoed in the dramatic response from MSNBC host Rachel Maddow to the Supreme Court's decision to consider Trump's eligibility and immunity claim. Maddow expressed panic over the possibility that Trump, if reelected in 2024, might interpret a ruling against post-presidential immunity as a reason to cling to power indefinitely to avoid prosecution, suggesting a scenario where Trump could commit crimes to remain in office and avoid prison. Watch this.
Now, if you think about the court as the Supreme Court of the United States and a rational actor and a decent one, that was a reasonable supposition, and it just turns out they're not that. Incremental bit of progress here. The important question here is not whether the Supreme Court is going to decide that Donald Trump and all presidents are immune from prosecution for crimes they committed while they were president. I mean, it would be fully insane for them to actually side with Trump here, right? The conclusion that we can arrive at now based on what they have done without having to wait for the ruling is that they are ensuring that Trump will not face trial. And when they inevitably rule that presidents aren't immune from prosecution after they leave office, what that will tell Donald Trump, if by then he is president, is that he can never leave the office of the presidency. Right. And if he is voted out in 2028, he cannot leave office, and he is willing to he is welcome to commit any crimes he wants to, as long as he is still president, in order to ignore the result of that election and stay in power for life, because otherwise he's going to go to prison when he gets out.
You know what's ironic here is she's practically crying over this case going to the Supreme Court. Now, imagine if they didn't go on these witch hunts. Imagine if these cases didn't actually ever have to go to the Supreme Court. Imagine if there were just no cases at all against Trump, right? Then she wouldn't be crying. She wouldn't have all these perceived fears. Now, this is all self-inflicted. How ironic, right? Now, her reaction highlights the deep divisions and heightened tensions surrounding Trump's legal challenges and their implications for American democracy. Supporters of Trump view the Supreme Court decision to hear the case on presidential immunity from criminal prosecutions as a crucial moment in the ongoing conflict against a political establishment they believe seeks to undermine him and challenge the status quo. They see the legal challenges faced by Trump as part of a concerted effort to discredit him and his movement, driven by the political elite's fear of his influence. Mike Davis from the Article 3 Project articulated this sentiment on Real America's Voice, emphasizing the importance of the case not just for Trump, but for the presidency itself. Watch.
What the Supreme Court did today was decided to hear this case on whether a president of the United States is immune from criminal prosecution for his official acts. Federal judges are immune both civilly and criminally for their official acts. Members of Congress are immune both civilly and criminally for their official acts. The president right now is only immune civilly because there has never been an indictment of a former president before. And so the Supreme Court correctly took this case, and I think that they're going to have to establish that the president, any president of the United States, is immune from criminal prosecution for his official acts. Otherwise, we're going to destroy the presidency. Otherwise, when Trump is back in office, the Trump 47 Justice Department could indict President Obama for capital murder for ordering the drone strike on 2 American citizens. And I think it's good that they took this case. Remember, Jack Smith back in December filed an extraordinary petition asking the Supreme Court to take this case before the D.C. Circuit ruled, because Jack Smith said that only the Supreme Court could decide this case because he wanted to rush and get a decision. The Supreme Court said no. They sent it back to the D.C. Circuit, the appellate court, and now it's back at the Supreme Court. And then Jack Smith said, oh, no, we don't want the Supreme Court to rule because the D.C. Circuit voted in his favor. So it's good that they took this case. They had to take this case. This is so important. This is so much bigger than Donald Trump.
Now, to break it down, he argued that establishing immunity for presidents from criminal prosecution for their official acts is essential to preserving the integrity of the office. Without such immunity, future administrations could potentially exploit legal avenues to target predecessors, citing concerns that failing to do so could destroy the presidency. Davis highlighted the unprecedented nature of the situation, given the lack of historical precedent for indicting a former president, and praised the Supreme Court for taking up the case that transcends Trump's personal legal battles, underscoring its significance for the American system of governance. As the Supreme Court deliberates on the case, the nation waits with bated breath for a decision that could have profound implications for the future of American politics. The outcome of this legal battle is not just about Trump, it's about the integrity of our electoral process, the balance of power between the branches of government, and the fundamental principles of justice and fairness that underpin our legal system. Now, the implications of the case extend far beyond the 2024 election. They touch the very heart of our constitutional republic, raising questions about the limits of judicial power, the nature of presidential immunity, and the mechanisms by which our republic seeks to balance the competing demands of justice, fairness, and political accountability. As we navigate these turbulent waters, it's essential to remember the stakes involved. This isn't just a legal battle, it's a fight for the soul of our nation, a test of our commitment to the principles of our republic and the rule of law. It's a moment that calls for reflection on the kind of country that we want to be and the values that we hold dear. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. In today's tumultuous political landscape, the saga of Donald Trump's removal from the Illinois ballot and the subsequent Supreme Court deliberation isn't just a legal battle. It is a clarion call to every American who cherishes the principles of justice, fairness, and our republic. This case transcends partisan politics, touching at the very core of our republic's values. It's a stark reminder that the freedoms and rights we often take for granted are constantly under siege, requiring our vigilance and commitment to safeguard them. As we reflect on this pivotal moment, let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. The enduring strength of our republic lies in its ability to withstand such tests, emerging stronger and more resilient. It's up to us, the people, to ensure that our nation remains a beacon of liberty and justice, unwavering in the face of challenges. And this story matters because it's our story, a chapter in the ongoing struggle to preserve the soul of America.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.